Good evening, everyone, to the Finance Committee meeting for September 8, 2020. Today, the first item on the agenda is called to order. So do we have quorum? Yes, Randy's here. Yeah, I can see Randy. Okay. Next is our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the August 25th, 2020 finance meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve minutes.
Any question? No? All those in favor of approving the minutes from the August 25th meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Nays, the motion carried. Next on our agenda is the public appearance for non-agenda items. Do we have anyone in the chambers or in line?
No, ma'am,
No?
we do not.
No? Okay. So next we move to the finance director report. So we have the treasurer report from July 31st, 2020. So Misty.
Yeah, so I'll start with that treasurer's report. So it's included in the packet for July. The only real big change is that 2 more CDs have matured. So those are, 2 or 3% CDs that are falling off. And right now the reinvestment opportunity is really low. So working with our financial advisor, we're actually keeping it in a separate product of theirs, which is a little bit more money than a checking account, but not nearly what we were getting before. And we just keep checking every once in a while to see if there's a CD that we can reinvest in that would be more attractive. So we're kind of in a holding pattern at this point. The market is just, it's terrible, frankly.
Do you need to have those in a CD? Can you move it to another finance, investment?
Yep, so there's state statutes around what type of investments we can invest in. The theory of it being, as a municipality, we really don't want to take risk. If you look at safety, liquidity, and yield, as a city, we care about them in that order. So first, it's that I don't want to ever lose money. No matter how much I could possibly make, I don't want to lose taxpayer money. Then it's liquidity, making sure I can get the money that I need to pay the checks. And then I care about yield, or how much interest I can make. Other businesses, other people might be more able to take more risk, but as a taxpayer-funded organization, we aren't willing to do that. So CDs is kind of our main investment source. We do have some other products that we're invested in, as you could see through on the listing of the treasurer's report. But it's mostly CDs, and then our investment in the local government investment pool, which is the pool of a variety of investments that the state does, and we just basically have a share of their investments. That is a much more diversified portfolio. They've got, buildings and securities and all sorts of stuff, but that's far more sophisticated than what we could do on our own. So we just piggyback on their pool.
Okay.
So other than that, some things that have changed recently. So the CARES Act funding, I've talked about that before, that there's a special opportunity in there for us to make sure that we wouldn't lose our funding. There's been some new guidance released in the last few days that seems to contradict itself from other guidance. So there's some questions happening there. So I'm working through some of that. I'll keep you guys posted as I learn more. And then there was the Social Security deferral that was available to all employers. City of Fitchburg, we elected to not offer that deferral. From an administrative perspective, it was pretty burdensome to do it. From a city perspective, we would be on the hook if an employee terminates at the end of the year. We couldn't get the money back. And then from an employee perspective, it's really quite a limited benefit because it was simply delaying it a couple of months. It wasn't really a credit. So I sent the email out to staff letting them know that we wouldn't be offering that program. I heard back from a couple people. Usually I don't hear back from anyone. I actually heard back from some people that were very grateful that we did not offer the program. So I thought that was good.
Yeah, that one was one of my questions because, I am dealing with that with my client and we are recommending them not to do it. You know what I mean? Because it's too much the liability.
Yep. And we did say in the email that if Congress changes it to be a credit instead of just a deferral, that we may revisit that decision. Yeah. But at this point, with it being a deferral, I just don't think it's worth it to the employees or to the city. So that was the decision that was made there. And then budget-wise, the mayor's proposed budget is supposed to be released next week, Friday. The big thing we're still waiting for is health insurance rates from the state. So the rates in whole for the entire state went up 8%. but only 3 out of the couple of dozen plans that are available across the state are actually available in Dane County. So our swing could be double that, it could be nothing. We don't really know until we know the details by plan, which is supposed to be released next week. So my hope is it's at the beginning of the week so we can pull everything together really quickly, but we'll keep watching for that too. But that's going to be a pretty significant piece of our budget.
If that information, I'm sorry, Misty, just a quick question. If that information doesn't come out by next week, is there a possibility that we delay the release of the budget, or is it just like contingent upon an update?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways to do it. So in the past, when we've had a lot of levy limit capacity, I would just put it through with an estimate, put in that 8%, and then whenever it comes in, we'd fix it through the amendment process. I'm considering we're so close at this point, every dollar is going to count. I'm not sure what approach we would take. So my hope is that it comes out right away and we can crank through it, but contingency plan would be either or, not sure yet.
Great, thanks.
Yep. That's all I have as far as an update.
Can I ask a question about on page 22, the package? I think it's 22. Isn't the alders, mayor, and common council budget, the general fund? We have some training and travel and office supply that training and travel that we haven't used a lot. So what happens if we don't use that money?
It would be used to offset the other losses we're taking due to COVID.
And why do we have $13,000 in publication for alders, and we already used $12,000? What publication do we have and use?
Yeah, so it's dues and subscriptions as well. The biggest thing that's in there is the League of Wisconsin dues that the city pays, and those are generally paid at the beginning of the year.
Okay. Want to be sure.
Of course.
Okay. Any question for Misty?
Yes, back to the top of the document. You referenced the local government investment pool. Misty, is that, and you mentioned a share, is the 47.2 million, is that our share, Fitchburg share?
Correct. So that's how much we have invested in the total pool that the city or the state manages.
Sure. What's the difference between number 1 and number 9? I guess if there wasn't such a gap, I'm just curious as to, are those just investment types?
Not exactly. So LGIP 9 was set up for the bond, when we issued debt back in 2018, I put the money in LGIP 9 and then we had been spending it down. So we've spent it all now except for the interest that I got last month. So that $118 is the interest I got in July, which I transferred out in August. And then on August statements, you'll actually see a penny, which I transferred out in September. So at this point, it's just a timing issue of spending down those debt proceeds.
Okay.
So what I want to be sure, I didn't understand Randy's question because I cannot hear him very well. So what was the issue, the question?
So on the treasurer's report, the first page under local government investment pool, I have a LGIP number 1 and LGIP number 9. Those are the different sub-accounts that the city has at LGIP. And he was asking why we had 2 and why okay. Different in amount.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Gabriela, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions about page 13 of the packet. And it's page 9 of the treasurer's report.
So where do we go first?
I'm curious about so I know we passed the property tax deferral where, we're going to defer all do you have a sense of, I know that that year to date is not like actually what's taken in, right?
It actually is for property taxes. And then I actually have an update on that one for you guys too. So with that deferral that you mentioned, so through August, which usually is when the county settles with everything with us, they were instead going to only settle with stuff received through July 31st. But because Dane County basically stepped up for us, they agreed to settle in full either way. So the city ended up not having any sort of a financial impact on offering that deferral. So big kudos or thank you, I guess, to Dane County for stepping up and making us whole, even though we did allow that deferral.
Wow, that's great. And then a couple more questions. The intergovernmental revenues are down compared to last year. Is that something that you anticipated?
I would have to look at the detail, which we can do. So I'm going to go then to page 19 of the packet. So this will show the different revenues. And it looks like the biggest one is the shared revenue is about the same. State highway aids, which is the general transportation aids that we get from the state, that is quite a bit less. So the GTA, general transportation aid formula, it's based on a formula that we go through at budget time, but then there's a maximum amount you can go up year to year and a floor of the maximum amount you can go down year to year. And it's all based on how much you spend on roads and road related things over a 6-year period. And we had a big road year spending fall off and then a lower year come on. So we actually dropped quite significantly due to that formula, but we were kept level at that minimum floor of what we were allowed to do. So it was a 15% decrease from last year's budget to this year's budget. And I suspect we'll have a pretty similar decrease this coming year as well, because those big years are falling off of the formula.
Got it. And then a couple more, sorry. The licenses and permits are back to that page 13 of the packet, page 9 of the treasurer's report. License and permits are up compared, they're actually above budget. I'm curious if you could comment on that.
Yes, we always budget relatively conservatively in building permits because a lot of that growth or that high amount that you've seen in there are some big commercial projects that came through. So the old juice plant is a great example. They pay a really significant building permit because there's a lot of work that goes into monitoring that project. And we don't assume that we're going to get a lot of big commercial projects every year. We actually had a good example of why we don't do that back when the recession hit. However many years ago that was, the city was kind of chasing that number and increasing it pretty significantly year after year. The market fell out, building permit revenue dropped, and then we had to furlough our employees. So we want to keep that at a level that we know that we can hit with a normal year. We don't want to account for these big spikes that are planned because it just creates a hole for us for future years.
Got it. So when we exceed that, that's not unexpected?
Not necessarily, no, because it's almost always one or two big projects.
Got it. And then last question about the court penalties and fines. Mm-hmm. We know that that's going to be down because of the public health, but I'm just curious if you can comment again about where that money just goes in the general fund to fund anything. Okay. It doesn't go to any specific line item. Okay.
No, it does not. So it goes to help offset how much property taxes we have to collect to fund the rest of the budget in total. And so, yes, the COVID has changed how many tickets we've been issuing. So that is part of it. But even if you look at the last several years, that court penalty and fine revenue has been steadily decreasing. So it just is getting even worse faster, I would say, this year and then into next year's budget. And so I would suspect that we won't hit budget this year on that item. And then there'll need to be a pretty significant adjustment for that in the 2021 budget.
Got it. Thank you.
Of course.
Any other question? Okay, so next we move to the review of the bills. So we are going to review the detailed review of check for $10,000 and above, dated August 16 to August 31st, 2020, totaling $3,152,130 with 77 cents. Do I have questions? No? Gabriela?
Misty, I'm looking at page 42 of the packet and page 2. I'm sorry, yeah, the 10,000 and above. I was wondering if you could walk us through on that page the different Wisconsin Department of Transportation fees.
Yeah, we had a really big bill to DOT this time, and the DOT partners with us with a lot of different projects. So some of them that are in here, I guess we'll just look at that first line. There's the Mckee construction. So, we're redoing Mckee from Seminole to Commerce, I believe, is what we're doing now. And then we are paying our share to the state. The state is getting money from the feds as well as ours, and then they're paying the contractor. So the total Mckee project is significantly more than what our share is, but we are only paying our share to the state. The big benefit to us, of course, is then they're doing the oversight from a financial perspective on the project, but also all of the grant strings that come with that federal money, the state is now responsible for instead of us. So it's really a big benefit to us of having the state kind of manage these projects. And so if you look at the different, so there's the account numbers. So just left of the description is all the different account numbers. Each line that's on there, even if it's for the same project, might be hitting a few different account numbers. So Mckee is a great example, again, where there's a piece that's paid for by TID 6. So that would be a different account number than the piece that's paid for by borrowing or property taxes. And then there's some stormwater work in that project as well. So that would also be paid for through a separate account number. So you might have 3 lines for one invoice from the state. The other thing that happens with the state a lot is they'll give us a bunch of invoices, some of which are several years old, all at one time. So there's probably multiple invoices in here as well. So that would be why there's the kind of the sections you can see of still Mckee stuff, even if it hits the same account number.
Got it. That's really interesting that the state fronts that so that they deal with the federal grants. That's very cool.
That's huge for us. I mean, that's significantly burdensome whenever you get federal money.
Yeah, all that staff time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Cool. Thanks.
Any other question? So next we move to the detailed review of all check issue check number 121126-121168 dated August 16 to August 31st, totaling $3,222,832.30. Any question there? No? Okay. So next we move to the detailed review of ACH payment for $10,000 and above, dated August 20, totaling $284,294.58. Any question there? No. Okay. So next we move to the detailed review of all ACH payment dated August 2020. Something is missing here. Totaling $293,559.17. Any question? No? Okay. So next we move to the action item. So do we have Bill? Yes. Okay. So Bill is here with us. So the first item is to talk about the road construction update.
Good evening. We've got a little bit of construction going on still in Fitchburg. Fish Hatchery Road. I'll start over there. So far we've got some of the walls up near the bank for Associated Bank, and we've got all the utilities in. We're going to be we closed down Traceway Drive last week. Then we'll be closing down opening up Post Road starting on Friday, and then the following week we'll be closing down a portion of Greenway Cross. Sorry, it's been a long day. We're on target to meet our goals for construction this year on that project, both for budget and for time. And we're anticipating to have the project wrapped up for this portion by October, and possibly even start some of next year's work down by Mckee if we can get to it this year. So all that area down by Mckee won't impact any of the like the Burby Derby or anything like that. It'll be out of traffic. So it's just if we can get to it, we'll get to it and try to get that done. So I guess any questions with that project?
No. Oh, I have a question. I drove by the other day and I saw, between the BMO bank, what is are we building that extension between BMO and what is the other place?
Pike Drive?
Yeah, are we doing that?
No, we're just putting in a driveway in that area.
Oh.
We have to reconfigure the driveway to line up with the signal that's on the other side of the road. Where the credit union is. That's going to be a signalized intersection, so we had to realign the driveways there so that BMO and the church can go into that signalized intersection.
Oh, okay, I get it. Okay.
Let's see what else we got. So
I wonder if you could comment. I'm just curious if we're still seeing a reduced traffic on Mckee and Fish Hatchery, and has that? I mean, I'm just curious what the crews have seen.
It spiked shortly after June, and it's been the same amount pretty much all summer long. So now that school started, I'm not sure. I haven't been through that area as often, but maybe there's some additional traffic with the school traffic out there now.
Great, and the road crews have all been safe, right? They're all doing well.
Yep. No COVID or anything like that. They've all been safe, no injuries. So we've been good in that respect.
Awesome, thanks.
Great. All right, over to Mckee Road, that project as well. We have a little bit of a delay due to some of the lighting equipment that needs to be installed there for the bridge. That we won't be opening that up until the beginning of October to possibly mid-October. So I think the mayor wanted to possibly do a photo shoot or something like that, out there. So maintaining social distance and all that, but that's a possibility of doing that once that bridge opens up in October. So a lot of people have been by. It's a great addition to the community, and we're working through the issues with getting all the equipment and stuff in out there. A person that he's in a wheelchair, lives on the north side over by Pineway, whatever that is over there, Pineway, and he travels back and forth through that construction every single day. He goes to Quick Trip. Now he's got a path that goes all the way down there. He can easily access it, and he's really grateful for that opportunity to be able to use that. So it's just a great addition. We're not looking at any new traffic switches until probably October. So what you see out there is what we're working through at this time, putting down the stone, the gravel, curb and gutter, asphalt. So that'll all be coming in short order within the next month or so, and then we'll be buttoning it up mid-October to November in that range.
Okay.
Those are the two big ones, but
okay. No, thank you.
I have
a couple other
I have a
ones.
question.
I can let you know about those.
Okay.
I do have a question.
Okay.
It's not Mckee or Fish Hatchery, and I'm not sure if you know the answer, Bill, but on Seminole Highway in front of Sub-Zero, their new addition or new offices, and then to the Hop House, several constituents have asked the question. It looks as if the land has been graded, the grade has been graded for a sidewalk. Do you know, is that the case? I mean, I haven't seen any plans, but do you know that answer offhand?
Yeah, the Northeast neighborhood, or not the Northeast, the North Stoner Prairie neighborhood plan does have a bicycle connection along Seminole Highway all the way down to Lacey Road. So the place in front of Sub-Zero, like you had mentioned, is graded for a path, as well as the Hop House will have the path all the way, and then connect up to Lacey Road when the road gets completed. On
the same side as Sub-Zero and Hop House?
Correct.
Correct, okay. Thank you.
Okay, so Bill, you are invited to the next committee of the whole to discuss this project and the cost. I sent you an email this morning.
All right.
Some of the others are requesting to have, I don't know. Let's discuss later, okay? Okay, so any other question for Bill? Okay, so next I need a motion to approve resolution R-145-20, authorizing acceptance of the contractual bid for the pickleball courts at Fitchburg.
Motion to approve?
Okay, any question or discussion? Who's gonna discuss this? Who is there? Scott?
Yep, well, and I didn't know if, Bill, if you wanted to take the lead, or do you want me to take the lead on this one?
You can take the lead on it.
Okay.
First of all, I have a question, Scott. In boards, I am looking in the referral page that Board of Public Works, they have a tie, and then it was approved in Park Commission. So if you can explain later in your presentation why they were the concern in the Board of Public Works.
Well, why don't I start there? The Board of Public Works did vote 2-2. The group was in favor of the pickleball courts because they feel that it is certainly something that's going to be popular within the community. The reason for the 2 no votes is for optics. They felt with the way things are right now, to have a construction project in one of the parks doesn't appear to have good optics. I did relay to the Board of Public Works that all the dollars utilized for this construction is from parkland dedication fees and park improvement fees, but that was the reason for their 2 no votes. The Park Commission did approve it. There was 1 no vote from Patrick Cheney. He's still, he's not in agreement with the location of the parking lot that we have within the design. So that was the action from the Park Commission. I might maybe just introduce the project. This is the final leg to construction of the pickleball courts in Fahey Fields. It does include, support facilities, including a parking lot. The pickleball courts will be enclosed with fencing. And actually, the pickleball courts are ADA compliant, which is good. There's some additional paths that are included in this project. And if you're familiar, there's actually 6 culverts. And actually what those culverts will provide will be access to the north and the south fields. The pickleball court is kind of broken into 3 different areas. The central area where the pickleball courts is located, along with the northern and southern open play field. And in these culverts, what they will do is they will allow, if you've been out there, there's ditches in there for stormwater. So these culverts will provide access for the path to go over the culverts to both the north and the south side. There is also a 34-car parking lot, which includes an additional 2 ADA parking stalls. We did include a 10% contingency. We did receive 3 bids, with the low bidder being Joe Daniels, and we did include in the project a 10% contingency for $54,000. And as I mentioned, the funding for the project is going to be, there's actually 3 different accounts that we're utilizing for the funding of this project. One of them is the CIP project 6211 for $320,000. There's Fahey Field park improvement fees of $195,000, along with unencumbered parkland dedication dollars of $87,282. So those are the funding sources for the project. I will tell you that there was an addendum to this project in timing. If you recall, might have been last meeting or last month, there's a water extension project, a couple different 3 extension projects One of those projects includes it's going from the crossings south and then a little loop to the west to Fahey Field, to Fahey Field. So that was a different project. Along with that water project, we are going to get city water to the McGaw Park shelter. And the timing of it is they need to get that water loop in first before we can construct the path, because the path is right above it. So what we did is we changed the timing in that they're going to excavate, get that base work done this fall, and then come in the spring and get substantially paved by June 1 of 2021, and then the project should be completed by July 2021 with restoration and the finish of the paving. And I'll take any questions, or Bill, if I missed anything, feel free to chime in.
I have a question. I remember last year when we approved this in the CIP plan, the budget for this project was $320,000. And now we can see that the bids are coming over $500,000. So, and we need to use some funding from park improvement plan, and other encumbered parkland fees to cover the rest. So, so my concern is that lately we have seen that everything related to this type of construction, when we budget, then it comes like a double, or substantially high. So my question is that, it was expected to receive this type of bidding so high. I want to ask that to Bill.
I think the estimates or the construction costs are a little bit higher than what was estimated, but Scott's going to have to chime in on this one, I think, because I think the scope of the project grew a little bit with added parking lots and pathways and drainage that really wasn't estimated in the beginning. If Scott could verify that.
Well, in actually when we put the project together, R.A. Smith, the engineering estimate we were pretty close to the engineering estimate of the project. And to the point that there are support facilities within this project. The pickleball courts, when you begin to start to kind of separate out the cost of the paths, the parking lot, the culverts, and restoration, the cost of the pickleball courts do come down right around $320,000. So in theory, the pickleball courts in themselves do cost that $320,000. It's the support facilities in order to have the pickleball courts that bring the total up to the $548,000.
So can you repeat again? So what are so you said that the 320 covers the 8 courts.
8 courts, and actually when the mayor asked me for a budget amount, I did reach out to a tennis court expert, and they estimated that pickleball courts to construct would be about $40,000 a piece. So that's where I came up with the 320 for the budget.
Mm-hmm.
But then I did talk to Bill a bit, because I was anticipating this question, okay, how much would the paths cost? And he estimated that the paths are about $80,000. The parking lot is estimated to be at about $120,000. The culverts are $30,000, and then restoration is about $10,000. So you add all those up, and it's $240,000. Minus the $540,000 is actually about $300,000. So the pickleball courts are within that budgeted amount of $320,000 just for the pickleball courts.
Okay, but my question is, so we didn't do a good job last year of budgeting this item, because this is my concern, we are adding more staff to the project that we didn't budget it the first time. And now we elders, we need to vote for something that, or new amenities like a parking lot. Why do we need to have a parking lot when there is already Mckee Park, a big parking lot?
Yeah, and if,
Why we cannot build a path between the parking lot to the pickleball court and people can walk there? Why do we need to build another $100,000 parking lot there?
I understand, and if you walk out in the area, it is quite a distance. Along with, we are anticipating some additional, soccer fields and open play practice fields in the northern and southern. So it really does, and actually the 32 additional stalls I think we're going to find are going to be not enough. And actually, too, we certainly don't want to encourage users of that area to park in the Fahey Fields development. So we're really trying to provide some additional, because people will, this will be a destination for the pickleball and the practice field. So we're trying to provide that parking within the park itself, so that we don't, disrupt the Fahey Fields, development.
I understand what you're saying. I understand. I think the pickleball are going to be great for the city, but I think we need to do a better job from now on to when we build this new amenity in the park to look at everything. Don't forget, we forgot to add the parking lot. We forgot to add the pass. We forgot to do this. And then, because last year when I approved it in the CIP, I approved a $320,000 project. Now this project is coming at $602,000.
I understand.
So, you need to put it on my plate too. As an elder, I approved something at $320,000, and now it's coming to me to approve at $602,000. So I think we need to do a better job when we, because here is not like I understand that construction cost has increased, but in this case, we forgot to add to this original project a parking lot and a path and the remediation. So I think we need to do better. I don't think how I feel very uncomfortable to approve something that it costs almost double. Gabriela? Yeah, Gabriela.
Someone could give me some context of when was this part of the CIP for a long period of time? Like I thought I read that this was part of the Mckee Park master plan, but if someone can give me insight about what the CIP amendment or when this was added to the CIP.
Maybe you can help me on that, Misty, but I believe this was a new CIP project that the mayor put in the CIP last year for this year.
I believe so. Without double checking it, I think so.
It's correct.
Mm-hmm. And was previous to that amendment, was there a plan to put pickleball courts in?
There, if you look at the Mckee Park master plan, which we did in 2012, there was athletic fields to the north and then the south, and then there was, in the middle, there was going to be amenities, including, a shelter and potential bathroom, and I think it may have been a basketball court, but there was some kind of hard court in the middle, along with some playground structures. So at the end of the day, I think it, with the need of the pickleball courts within the community, I think we probably would have substituted the tennis court or whatever that hard court was in that master plan for pickleball courts. And I think it makes good sense. I think our tennis courts are going to be identified in McKee Farms Park as our community park, and then the pickleball courts will be in Mckee Park. So I think it makes good community and planning sense.
Can I ask you this? What is the rationale for the timing behind this? Is there something to do with the funding structure that requires it to be done in 2021?
No, the funds were there. It was the input of the CIP by the mayor to get it constructed in 2020. So that was the driving force to get going on this as soon as we possibly could.
And also, when I did the research about this, the pickleball, I saw a couple of videos that you can compare tennis court in pickleball court. I know that Mckee Park has how many tennis courts? Like 2? So have you considered also the city converting some of those tennis courts in pickleball courts?
We actually have painted, because the pickleball courts are a little bit smaller than the tennis courts, so we have the Mckee Park tennis courts have pickleball lines on them, and also the Swan Creek tennis courts have pickleball lines painted on them. So yeah, we do have other, I guess, pickleball courts painted on existing tennis courts. What this would provide would be specifically designed pickleball courts at Fahey Field.
I have another question, Scott. We are planning to rent these pickleball courts for leagues?
Absolutely.
Are we going to generate any revenue from this?
That's a good question, Julia. And similar to the USTA tennis group, there is a pickleball group that is really interested in need of courts within this area, and I have reached out to them, and they are willing to put together leagues and lessons and all of those kinds of things. So there is going to be, it's not going to be a lot of revenue, but there is a group out there that can assist the recreation department and the city in programming the facilities so that they're, used as much as possible.
Another question, do you know how many people are playing pickleball in the city of Fitchburg, and what was the need to build 8 instead of 6 or 4? What was the rationale there?
I was directed to do 8 pickleball courts. So.
But you didn't. But my question is, do we,
Well, what we did do is we, reached out to the pickleball group, and they would take as many as we can potentially build. They would feel that they could utilize up to 12 pickleball courts, but I'm going, man, I think 8 is where we're at this point. But there's certainly, pickleball is a growing sport and a growing activity, and there certainly is, organizations out there who are trying to find as many locations to have pickleball courts as they can.
Gabriela?
I have a question.
Sorry, Randy, go ahead.
Oh, who is Randy? I don't see him. Oh, Randy? Okay, go ahead.
Scott, I'm just going to go back to what Julie had stated earlier, but well, first of all, I should say that I don't think there's any question that pickleball is a growing sport, and I suspect that all of those courts would be used based on some of the reading that I've done. But just to go back to Julia's comment, I think we really do need to do a better job of estimating our forecasted expenses to new projects. As an engineer, I've seen overruns, and I fully understand. But when the mayor approaches you and asks for what the cost of a pickleball court, what it is, and then you calculate, I guess if anybody were to ask, I would certainly break out every additional cost that's going to go with it, because we're not just going to place a pickleball court on a piece of land. And looking at some of these pictures, there's some well thought out engineering that went behind, and there's going to be significant cost. I'm just going to ask that of you, because now with this, when this project was priced out, and now that I see that it's doubled, we as alders have to go back and answer to our constituents. That's a significant increase, and there's no way of backing out of it at this point, from what I can see. So those are just some comments. I'm sure there'll be many years of success with the pickleball once we get through this bit of hurdle. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Gabriela, do you have a question?
Yeah. The funding, because I know this is coming from developer fees. Obviously, part of it's from the CIP, that 320 is from the CIP. but then the remainder is being made up from park fees. Can you speak a little bit about, like, what is the trade-off, I guess is my question. If we didn't use the park fees for this, what would we do instead, or would those fees just go to waste?
There is a sunset clause on these park improvement fees, and they are designated for the specific development from which they're received. So, if we don't use the funds at some point in time, they are lost. But again, it's the methodology and the reason for the fees is like this. This is what those fees are utilized to do, or collected to do to develop the neighborhood park or the area park for the community in which it's going to serve.
So I want to make my final comment is, it's like I am not against this, but when I voted last year and approved this project was for $320,000. And I know that we are using park fee, we are not using taxpayer money. I agree with that. But then we are using more park fee than we should, and maybe we should use, if we were efficient on how to calculate this cost, we can use the rest of the park fee in other community parks where they really need other new amenities. So I think we need to be, because it means, we have the money there, we have the money in the parkland fee fund, we can use it. But we need to be careful because we are using double the money that we budget. So that one is my, and my other question is because there are other amenities coming, like the hub in the North Fish Hatchery Road, that is also going to need a lot of park fee dedication. I want to know, is part of this money is coming from, for the parkland, what is is coming from the same pocket, Misty?
Yep, you're thinking park fees in lieu of land dedication.
Yeah.
And yes, that's what that last line is on there, the 87,000.
Okay.
To answer your question, Julia, there are additional park fee in lieu of parkland dedications that we have set aside for the north side of Traceway and the hub project. So there is additional dollars that are available for that development. That the dollars that you would approve if you approve this is not taking dollars from that other project.
Okay, no, but my biggest concern is the cost, the increase of the cost. And I really want to know, why do we need 8? You haven't answered my question about why do we need 8 instead of 4 or 6. But I don't know,
Right, I was directed by.
But you are the director of park. You should know how many we need to build, Scott. You know what I mean? Like if I come and say, hey, Scott, build 10, you're gonna build 10. But you know what I mean? I don't know. This is what I asked question about, to have a rationale about. Do we need really 8, or we need 4 or 6? You know what I mean?
In talking to the pickleball community, they would take 12 if we can build them, but.
Okay, I hope you prove me wrong. Okay, Gabriela.
So this 195,000 from the Fahey Park improvement dollars, is that like maxes out that account? That account will be closed out. That 195,000, that's the last amount that's in there.
Well, actually, too, with the previous project for the water lateral through there, that also took about $70,000 of that park improvement fee. So those park improvement fees will be depleted at this point with this project.
Okay. And was there anything else that you wanted to do with those Fahey Fields park improvement fees?
No, I think we want to develop that park that the Fahey Field residents are going to use. So I think this is the appropriate use of those funds.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
My final question, and I am done. Do these courts are going to have lights at night?
No lights, no.
Okay.
No lights.
Okay, so all those in favor of resolution R-145-20 say aye.
Aye.
Nay, abstain. Okay, the motion carried. Okay, next I am looking for a motion to approve resolution R-149-20, authorization for the 2020 Dane County operating and maintenance cost.
Motion to
Need a motion.
approve.
Motion to approve.
Okay. Okay, so Misty, are you planning to talk about this?
I can, and then Joe, feel free to jump in, but ultimately this is our annual payment to Dane County for our share of the DaneCom system.
And
So
can you
DaneCom-
explain for the new order what it is?
So DaneCom, for lack of better explanation, is the radio system that we use for all municipal departments. That includes police, fire, Fitchburg EMS, and Public Works. So the maintenance cost is something that that we agreed to at the advent of DaneCom. All municipalities pay their share of DaneCom, and right now this is our share. We're always looking for efficiencies.
Any question? All those in favor of approving resolution R-150-20 say aye. No,
Aye.
149-20 say aye. Okay.
Aye.
Randy?
Aye. Are they not hearing me?
Okay. The motion carried. Next, I am looking for a resolution to, motion to approve resolution R-150- authorization for the 2020 DaneCom Fitchburg enhancement payment. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Okay, so what is this?
Joe, you want to jump in on this one too, for the enhancement payment?
So the enhancement payment, back when the system was set up, there were a couple of dead spots in Fitchburg. The fire chief at the time helped identify those areas that required additional equipment. And that's the situation that we have. We have additional equipment that we have to maintain above and beyond what the other municipalities have to pay. And then once again, we're looking at a couple of different options with this, but it's going to take some negotiation.
So what do you mean different option?
Well, that's just it, is there right now, because of the fact that this is a cost that we've been paying for before I got here. One of the things that we are looking at is how much of this equipment do we need, and how much of it do we need to maintain? It's hard right now to identify what that is, and we're relying on Dane County right now to be able to give us more information as far as what they can realistically assume.
Okay. Any question? All those in favor of, of resolution R-150-20 say aye.
Aye.
Nays, the motion carried. Next, I need a motion to approve resolution R-157-20, approving the first amendment to the agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of Fahey Fields.
Motion to approve.
Okay, Bill.
The original subdivision improvement agreement was approved by council back in 2017 for the entire plat. The plat is being done in 5 phases. We're in phase 4 of 5 right now. This amendment would update that agreement to include a reimbursement for oversized water main, which wasn't anticipated in the original agreement, and bring the remaining terms into compliance with Wisconsin statutes regarding development and acceptance of those developments or of the improvements. So we're asking for approval of the resolution for those 2 things. Thank you.
I have a question on page 94. I think there is an error. I think Patty Anderson is still, Patty Anderson used to be our former city clerk.
She's listed in here as the Dane County clerk, so she signs as the county now,
Oh, okay. Okay.
I believe.
Okay.
If not,
So-
we'll technical correction it.
Yeah, no, I was reading that and said, okay. But it said the above name Aaron, Richardson, and Patty. I think it should be Tracy name there instead of Patty. I don't know.
We'll get that changed.
Okay. So, so when you mentioned about reimbursement, we are talking money reimbursement?
Yes, we, in our ordinance, we require we will reimburse the developer anything that we would oversize for the city for our needs. So typically a development would need a 8 or 10 inch water main. And in this case, we'd be installing a 12-inch water main to service future development. So the oversized cost for serving that future development is what we would reimburse the difference for.
And do you know how much money is?
No, I don't. It would be the length times the difference, and we don't have that cost right now.
So, and the reason that this resolution came to finance is because we are changing the language.
Yes.
That we don't know how much it's going to be.
I didn't calculate that amount.
Okay. So I don't know. Is that correct, Misty?
Yeah, so the original SI or subdivision improvement agreement likely went through finance because there is that financial component. So this amendment would go through finance committee as a housekeeping item, for lack of a better phrase, I suppose.
So, okay. But this amount that we need to reimburse was already in the budget. We know that it's a number that we know that it was in our range.
So the CIP includes a separate project for oversizing and insulating and a bunch of other things in the water utility. So there's an amount of money available within that CIP project that could be used for really any project. So this would tap into that source.
Okay. Any question? All those in favor of resolution R-157-20 say aye.
Aye.
Nay. Abstain. Okay, motion carry. So next I am looking for a motion to approve resolution R-133-20. It's a resolution approving copier agreement on lease with RICO for third floor. This is a direct referral.
Thank you. This item is.
We need a motion first.
Yep.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Randy.
Okay, Bill.
All right, sorry about that. It's a 5-year lease for our third floor copier that we use. The savings over that term will be about $1,000 per year, I think it was.
Yeah, 1,009. Yeah.
So we're getting our money's worth with this lease.
Which company are we using now?
For the most part, I understand the city uses Gordon Flesh.
Mm-hmm.
And this was just, RICO has the low bid for the state, and so we went with them. We've been using them for years. Public Works has it, at least.
Okay. I have another question. Why this resolution went to Public Works?
Public Works is paying for the budget for
Okay.
the copier.
Okay. Makes sense. Okay. Any question? All those in favor of resolution R-133-20 say aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstain, 0, motion carry. Next, I am looking for a motion to approve resolution R-160 and resolution approving the agreement for subdivision improvement in the plat of the first addition to Terra Besa.
Motion to approve.
Okay, Bill? This is yours.
This is a 79 lot addition to Terra Besa, and it's our standard agreement, nothing out of the ordinary with this, and Public Works approved this agreement.
Any question? No? All those in favor of resolution R-160-20 say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Abstain? Okay, the motion carried. Next, I am looking for a motion to approve resolution R-167-20, approval of Tri-North's change order as a part of extension number 1 for remodel project.
Motion to approve.
Okay,
So
who's
as-
gonna be-
I'm sorry.
You, Chief, are gonna
Yeah,
talk?
I'm
Okay.
sorry. I think I butted in too soon. I pulled a Bill Bulky. So for explanation, this is a change order for the remodel of station number 1. Although the amount of the change order is under $2,500, which typically I can approve at my level, it did bring the total cost of the project for Tri-North just over $25,000, which requires council approval. We had some issues going back and forth with some required paperwork on our end, and then we had some issues with on-base. So it pushed our timeline back a little bit. I'm asking for a direct referral because I would like to pay Tri-North. Otherwise, we'd be looking at another 2 to 3 weeks out before we could actually pay off that bill.
I have a question. So because what it was budget was $23,300, and then it's coming 25. From where is gonna come the rest?
So we still have enough money in that CIP that has been approved. The entire CIP was $750,000. Right now, we're well under $500,000 in that project. We still have some things that we have to do, but we're prioritizing our spending at this point because we don't want to obviously overspend the account, and I'd like to keep that as low as possible. But in order to do that, there was a couple of things that Tri-North did for us, which required a change order. So all told, the amount that we're spending on that change order is fairly small, but the right thing to do is to follow the process, and that requires us to bring it before you.
Gabriela.
I'm just curious, for Misty, why does this require a budget amendment? Is it because there's money left in the project fund?
So it actually doesn't require a budget amendment. It's coming to you guys because of our pre-approval process.
Okay.
So since it was less than 25,000 originally, the mayor was able to approve that without it going to council. With the change order, it's now over 25,000. So had we brought or followed that based on the end dollars, you guys would have seen it ahead of time. So that's why we have to bring it to you now. So yes, the change order itself is relatively small, but it crosses that threshold to now require council approval.
Okay. Thanks.
And can you remind me, Chief, why do we need Tri-North to be involved when the project is not too big? You know, it's a $750,000 project.
Yeah, what Tri-North did is they worked as our construction manager. What they were able to do is they were able to speak to each of the trades at that level. And basically, the city was not taken advantage of. So if I were to head that project, there may be some things that some of the subcontractors might say that are above my level, and it may have cost the city more money. In addition to that, I mean, everybody at City Hall is stretched, and everybody in Public Works and Inspection are taxed at the levels that they are. So this was probably the most cost-effective way of addressing what amounts to a project lead without bringing people in from the city that were working on other projects.
Okay. Any other question? All those in favor of approving resolution R-167-20, say aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstain. Okay, the motion carry. Next, I am looking for a motion to approve resolution R-169-20, a resolution amending the term of payment required for letter of credit.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Chief. I forgot to tell you, thank you. Okay, who's gonna explain this?
I'll take a work at it.
Okay.
We have a standard template for letters of credit that explicitly gives the terms upon payment when we would have to draw upon that. So the Park Bank, one of the developers' banks, a bank that we do a lot of business with, had requested that due to COVID that we may not be able to have the staff available to make the presentation of the check upon presentation. So they had asked for 3 business days to be able to present that check to the city, whereas typically we would have it upon presentation of the letter of credit.
Okay, so this one is kind of like a formality, nothing that we need to be concerned.
No, not at this time.
Okay, any question?
Yes, I have a question. Is this just a one-time, or is this going forward with all similar situations?
Well, this one is tied in specifically to the Fahey Fields development and their presentation of the letter of credit. We would like to have it standard throughout all the developments, and we would still like to have it presentation upon or a withdrawal upon presentation. But it really is up to the council to decide if they want to go ahead and change it for all developments or just this one.
Okay.
So what do you think, Misty?
So right now, this resolution would change that standard going forward. 3 days isn't unreasonable necessarily. So the risk to us would be if we had to cut a really large check and I didn't have enough money of the city's money to kind of cash flow that for the couple of days till we got reimbursed, it could become a problem, but I don't foresee it being that large of an issue considering it's only 3 days and we have a decent fund balance that helps us kind of with those cash flow issues. So while I'd rather not do it, I'd rather get the money right away. It's not a deal breaker, I wouldn't say.
Okay. Any other question?
Since this is a direct referral, is it possible for us to limit this to just the Fahey Fields project and then we consider it again as a whole so we can have more time to discuss it in finance? Just since Misty has those concerns about potential big projects.
So council is welcome to do that. So you would simply change it for that particular letter of credit rather than the template, the standard template. But again, I guess I don't have too much heartburn over a 3-day delay.
And Bill, and that's your preference. That's going to work better for Public Works.
We've never had to draw on a letter, so I've never had an issue dealing with this, but whether it be a day or 3 days, it really doesn't make a difference, I don't think. It's more on the financial part of it, what we would use that money for and how fast we would need it.
Okay.
So, but this one is why they are requiring this now? Because of COVID, or what is the logic behind this?
Yes, that's what the bank officers had said, that due to COVID, they may not have the staff available to generate the paperwork and present the check right away. The hours of operation is what they had said. They may not be able to do it right away.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I understand that logic, but most of this is well planned out and everybody knows the pieces prior to this all happening. At least in my small little world, I know if I owe somebody something. I don't know. I find that interesting, but maybe I shouldn't challenge it too much and just let it go. But I would think if this is a project that's of some large scale, everybody knows their piece and they would know in advance, we need to present on such and such a date. So I don't know where the 3 days would really make that big of a difference, but.
So the one nuance I'd say is that with these letter of credits, these are more like insurance policies kind of to the city. So these letters of credit are used when something goes south and the city needs to fix it. And so then we draw on that letter of credit in order to do those repairs or to do whatever it is that we needed to fix on behalf of the
So these
developer.
are really unknown situations. It's not like a planned project, those type of situations. Okay.
Exactly. So it's not a payment schedule. It's this went south. I need money immediately to fix it or right away to fix it.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question? Gabriela, do you want to include only this for Fahey Fields, or you feel comfortable now for every
Based on what
developer?
Misty said, I feel comfortable making this change.
Okay. Well,
Unless
So
Misty,
you-
I would love to hear your opinion. If you don't have a problem with it, I'm happy to support it. But
Yeah, so similar to Bill's experience, I've had one experience in my 15-year career where I've had to draw on something and it wasn't even a letter of credit. So the chances of us needing it are relatively small. And then the chances of needing that money immediately versus 3 days later isn't a terrible risk to us. So if it helps the developers and it helps the banks, I guess it's a small piece we can do to make the projects happen.
I guess my hesitation is the permanent change versus the specific change for that this was prompted by.
if you feel comfortable, we can do it only for Fahey Field. You know what I mean? So, and then if we have another, in the future, we have another developer or bank that requests, we can.
Yeah, so I'd like to amend the resolution to constrain the change to just the development of Fahey Fields.
Okay, I have that noted. So Julia, we'll need to vote on the amendment first before we vote on.
Okay, so I need approval of the amendment to only apply this resolution to the development of Fahey Fields. All
Aye.
those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Andy?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, so the motion carried, and now I need to, we need to approve resolution R-169-20. Do I have, all those in favor? The
Aye.
original, we're voting.
Aye.
Randy?
Aye.
The motion carries. Okay, so that's it, isn't it? So when I present this to council, I need to present the amendment version, isn't it?
Yep, so you'll motion to approve with an amendment to change it to be just Fahey Fields. And I
Okay.
will remind you, we have 15 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so next, I need a motion to approve resolution R-170-20, change of District 1 polling location and a split into 2 locations. This is a direct referral.
Motion to approve.
Okay, so we have Alder Maldonado, who is gonna explain about the new development.
Hi, everybody. Okay, so I think you've all read it, and you know, I've had conversations with some of you about it, but essentially, you know, based on our last council meeting, we had presented a resolution to move a polling place to the Redeemer City Church, and you know, staff had reported back that there were issues with the spacing of the location, as well as the tripping hazards that would be associated with serving an entire district. And after some conversations with city staff in Madison, I found out that they were using a site in the Allied Dunsmarsh location, and they had actually expressed willingness to share that location with us as a polling place, which would essentially, if we split up the district in two, would allow for 2 polling places for District 1, one serving the east part of Verona Road and shared with that part of the Madison neighborhood, and the other serving the part west of Verona Road, the Redeemer City Church. And essentially, you know, what that would do is reduce the risk for COVID infection because you would have less people, a need for less equipment in each site. It would also allow residents from both sides to be able to vote in their neighborhood and not necessarily have to cross a highway to do it. You know, I won't read the whole resolution out, but obviously I'm very filled with gratitude about the amount of folks that, you know, not only wrote in support of this, but also who offered resources. And I think it's, you know, definitely something that's shows how committed our community is to ensuring that we've got access to the polls. Obviously, I think the council members saw an email from the county clerk that there is a challenge, you know, with splitting up polling location for this upcoming election. Obviously, that's not great news for us, and would kind of thwart the ability to do this. But just kind of want to reiterate just the fact that there's really a strong will to do this, not just now, but for the future, and that you know, we should really listen to the constituents of our community who have been asking for this for years. So that's that. You've got a copy of all the, you know, supporting documents and all the information with it. So with that, I'll just, you know, open up for questions. Also, you know, thinking about maybe some long-term future brainstorming that we could do.
Okay, so my question is, with the new development, we cannot do a split at 2 locations, okay?
Yeah, so it looks like the, and I had a conversation with the county clerk, and he basically explained that this would open us up to kind of litigation, or open up the county to litigation, and it would sort of set a precedent for other municipalities to do the same thing. He also looked at the issue of folks that are abroad right now and doing military duty, where, you know, about a month and a half out, splitting up a polling place, or splitting up a ward or a district or whatever into multiple locations would, you know, basically it would cause complications for folks that are starting to send in stuff now. That's my basic understanding from the conversation.
Okay. Gabriela?
So to clarify, so League of Women Voters agreed to pay for any postcard for changes to the polling place, is that right?
Yeah, they offered up to $1,150. They had a donor who pledged that, and they wrote a letter of support, which is included in the resolution.
So it sounds like we can't split the polling place, but can we investigate other locations since the Redeemer City Church looks like it's not going to work in a COVID world? Are there other locations on that same side of Verona Road that we can investigate? So I guess I'm kind of asking Joe, I'm kind of asking Tracy as well. One of the things that comes to mind is I did the Burby Derby last year, and we checked in on the first floor of KL Engineering. There was a big room down there, and they've obviously used it for community purposes in the past, and I wonder if they've ever been approached. And that's right across the street from the old fire station, which was the original polling place for the district. So Tracy, I don't know if that's ever been brought up before.
No, that building has not been brought up as a potential polling location.
So to your first question, just because we got this news today, like an hour and a half ago, I would say the places that I just looked at a map and thought about walkability, while it wouldn't solve the issue of sort of residents from both sides not having to cross a highway, I thought about places that were sort of along the highway. And the places that came to mind were Floor 360, Saris, the old A1 site, because I know that there's right now somebody looking to purchase that space and is already like starting to set up. And I also thought about like the Catholic Multicultural Center. Those are just the places that immediately come to mind. Another thing that I thought of was, you know, just making all of it at the Boys and Girls Club. If one side of the space was Madison and one side of the space was Fitchburg, I think Madison would probably have less voters than Fitchburg since they're only doing a ward. So I would think like Madison would take the cafeteria and Fitchburg would take the gym. Like those are just some immediate thoughts that you know pop into my mind.
Okay, so we have 5 minutes. So I will recommend that we move this discussion to council and we don't take an action in finance.
So as of right now, the motion on the floor is by Randy to approve. So he would need to change his motion if you want to change the direction.
And that language would be, I remove my motion to approve? Is that simple?
Mm-hmm. So that's withdrawn. So then does somebody have a new motion?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, because I don't think that we are going to have time to, you know, we have 5 minutes because we need to give them, you know, safety, public safety is coming. So, and I think maybe we can discuss more and do more brainstorming in council meeting. So I will recommend to move this resolution without any action from finance. Joe, Chief?
Yeah, I would just exercise caution with K&L because of the fact that it's not finished on the inside, or at least it wasn't last time, and not being finished and for public assembly, that might be problematic.
Okay, so do I have a
So
motion?
you still need that motion to send to council without a recommendation.
Yeah, so I need a motion to send resolution R-170 to council without finance recommendation.
Motion to refer to council.
I approve. Randy?
Approve. Aye. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so all those in favor say aye, so the motion carries. So we are moving this resolution to council for discussion. Okay? Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. So next announcement, then our next meeting is gonna be September 22nd. We are gonna decide the time, maybe 5:30. Okay, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion carried. Thank you very much, and we see you at council meeting at 7:30. Thank you.